mindset towards money, which is that of poverty. As if there is something wrong with seeking material possessions. The thing is this, we do not worship the money in and of itself, but we value what it can do. And so whether we want to plant land, whether we want to purchase buildings, whether we want to build community centers, put our children through school, etc., etc., it takes a certain amount of financial support in the real world. No amount of prayer or meditation will provide in a real sense what valuing the money is able to do. So this is why the whole attitude towards money, the value system that's placed on money, is very, very important. And this is what we're exploring further this evening. As the caption here says, money can't buy me happiness, but I'd rather cry in a mansion. Now, the whole point here is this. I am not in any means, shape, or form suggesting that money here must be the emphasis. And being successful does not mean having material wealth in abundance. What I'm saying, however, is that if material wealth is your goal, then there are certain tools that can be used and applied to achieve that. If being a better human being is your goal, there are certain tools that can be used and applied to achieve that. That's the point that we're sharing this evening. Is everybody okay so far? Okay, let's move on. The energy. Robert Nesta Marley, otherwise known as Bob Marley, spoke of a natural mystic flowing through the air. A natural mystic flowing through the air. There are scientists, there's an example on YouTube, a story I was told recently, about 3 scientists who were looking at water in 3 different containers. And their finding was that they had 3 different hypotheses in terms of how the energy would be flowing within the container via the water. And the result was this, that even though they had 3 different hypotheses, 3 different ways of looking at the same issue, in terms of their findings, the conclusion that they were, all 3 of them were correct, because energy takes the form that you're guided to. Whatever we put in our minds, whatever we see here, is what we will begin to manifest. I don't know if you've ever been in a situation whereby you said to yourself, that won't happen, that just can't happen. And as obvious as it is to somebody else, it just simply did not happen to you, because we believe it. Can anybody bear witness to that? You've said to yourself, I can't do that. And you know what? You just can't do it. If you've ever tried, as I have done, to remember your own cell phone number in a time of great worry, and you have to probably ask somebody, what's my phone number? Or you may have lost your key somewhere in your home, and you start looking, as I do, in the refrigerator. As silly as that is, you look in places that are so obscure and irrational, but in that moment, the energy inside of us is such that we start now to act other than ourselves. And this is what we talk about here when we refer to the energy of money. Money can drive some of us stupid. Let me give you an example. When I see someone drive up in a new car with rims galore, etc., 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 and then go into a junk food establishment, there seems to be an imbalance here in the value system. Or you would rather spend money acquiring the temporary joys of exorbitantly priced alcoholic beverages, but not get some organic carrots into your system. An imbalance in the energy. I'm not advocating veganism, even though I am a proud vegan some 20 odd years. What I'm saying is that when we have that imbalance in the energy towards money, when we're able to use what we know is our soulful experience and superimpose that onto an inanimate object such as money without developing ourselves, what I'm suggesting is that that is where the imbalance is. And so the way we view money, the way we approach it, is part of the millionaire mindset. Very important. So as we develop this mindset, how do we do it? One of my favorite words is passion. I talk about it in my book under one of the 8 principles of self-empowerment. Now, how can I describe passion? Passion is drive. You know that excitement that you feel, for example, sometimes when you hear a song that you just love. Most of us here appreciate music, right? Okay. If you hear a song that you love, or you're with friends and family, or there is a particular career that you have always wanted for yourself, whether it be filmmaking, whether it be working in the community, whether it be teaching, whatever it is, when you're doing what you love, there's a certain loss of time and place. There's a certain feeling that you can't quite put into words when you're doing what you love to do, because it is what you were born to do. One of the reasons why I appreciate certain celebrities, and I guess many of us do, is not because they can necessarily sing well or play well, but they do it so effortlessly because it is what they were born to do. Out of my native Jamaica, there's a saxophonist known as Dean Fraser. Out of the motherland, we have Fela Kuti. When you hear when they played, and when they play, and when they perform, what I find, it's as if I have left England, gone via Jamaica, through the experience of the Nyabingi drum out of Rastafari, into the motherland, simply with a beat. Do you feel me on this? There's a certain vibration that cannot be put into words. It cannot be quantified. It cannot be explained through the English language. It's just a feeling. This is passion. And when we find the thing that we were born to do, even if it's one thing, I'm suggesting that we harness that skill, harness that experience, and find a way to transfer that energy into making a living for ourselves. Because what we'll find is that when we do what we were born to do, when we love what we do, then we never truly have to work a day in our lives. Does anyone in here enjoy what they do? Or is there one thing you really enjoy doing? Just even one thing? Right. I'm suggesting that that feeling, when you capture that feeling and transfer that into other things, or focus on that one thing, that is what we call passion. Because passion plus purpose create the lifestyle you deserve to live. The second thing I'd like to share with us is mastering our crafts. Now, I have a cousin who loves to sing. And as far as she's concerned, she is one of the best singers ever. Never release a song, doesn't go to any talent contests, but she is convinced she can sing. Now, I and the rest of the family do not agree with her. But for the past 10 years, she is convinced that she is a singer. Will not take any singing lessons, will not go to vocal training, will not mimic anybody who's a singer before, will not go to visit any singers, won't be around singers, won't learn music. And she wonders why, till this day, she has not been discovered. My point is this: even though we may be convinced in our minds that we're good at what we do, there needs to be some acknowledgement from the rest of the world, other than just in our own minds and in our dreams. Dreaming is good, but we have to also get up and do something about it. And this is why The second thing I'd like to share with us in terms of a tip of how to go about developing this mindset is that we master our craft. In other words, know everything that there is to know about your industry, about your area of work, about what you do. Be passionate. Become like a sponge, soaking up all the information about your industry. Enjoy reading the magazines online. Enjoy going to the concerts. Enjoy going to the workshops. Study it. Read it before you retire at night. Read it in the morning. Never get bored with what you love doing. Allow it to consume you and permeate every fiber in your being. Just love it. Master it. Because the more we immerse ourselves in what we love, is the more we realize that we really don't know everything that there is to know about our field. The more I speak and the more I go on training conferences, etc., is the more I realize that to be a better speaker, more effective, there is so much to learn. And this is what keeps us humble. Because when we begin to believe that we are it, that everything we do comes from us as opposed to through us, from as opposed to through, when we see ourselves as the be-all, as the end-all, as the omniscient, as the omnipresent, as the omnipotent, that is when the gift that we are blessed with begins to lessen and is taken away from us, because we become arrogant. Confidence is what we deal with now in mastery, not arrogance. I find that the more we submit ourselves to appreciate that we are vehicles or vessels for the manifestation of a higher purpose and a higher calling, then we have an infinite potential as human beings to be able to go higher and higher and higher. There are no limitations to what we can achieve. Is everybody with me so far? There are no limitations. And this is why, in terms of mastering your craft, I'd suggest we keep on going. In this age now of social media, Google has erased ignorance. I say it again. Google has erased ignorance. If I want to find out now how to build a ship, I go into a search engine, build ship. Not literally, but, right? The point is, whatever we want to learn, all we have to do is to enter the keywords into any search engine and it comes up. So there really is no excuse now for us to say we don't know. When I was coming up and going through high school, etc., you had to get something known as the Encyclopedia Britannica. A set of books that cost a couple of £100 that were paid for on payment plans or hire purchase, etc. Right? And when information became irrelevant, you still kept them because it was so expensive. You would not burn them, you would not throw them away or discard them. Right? Now, you cut and paste. You delete and post. You share files. We have no reason to be ignorant. Cost is never a factor here. Libraries offer free time on the internet if we do not have access to it wherever we dwell. And so, in terms of a practical tool in mastering our craft, there really is no reason why we should say we cannot do what we are doing. And in being able to do what we do in real human terms, if I wanted to learn, as I did, how to prepare a vegan quiche without eggs, for example, I went to an elder that I know well and said to him, "You have been a vegetarian for X amount of years. How you eat quiche? How did you make it?" In the world of neuro-linguistic programming, this is known as modeling. Or, as I was in high school, we called it copying. When I had certain exams and I hadn't studied, I would model somebody else's work. I modeled quite a few papers. This is before plagiarism was seen as a crime in academia. I would model my way through certain exams. In other words, on a serious note, if we want to become good or the best at what we do, I'm suggesting that we take time to find the right company, to be around certain people or a certain person who is manifesting that which we want for ourselves. So if you want to be a good chef, and you're a sous chef at present, but you really want to be that main person, then you need to at least start working in a restaurant. You can't want to be a chef and wonder why you still cannot create an hors d'oeuvre when you're on a building site, for example. As I mentioned about my cousin earlier on, she is the best singer in the world, but she doesn't have a song yet, even though YouTube is free access. She can stay in her home and talk to the camera and sing, and the world can see it and give her hits. But she's wondering why she hasn't yet broken in England, not to mention America. That's not a story for another time, right? But my point is, whatever we want to do, it's important to model success. You know, associate with persons who have the skills that we want, be around them, go to the workshops, go to wherever they socialize, etc., so that the very essence of the energy can start to move through us. Have you ever been around musicians? Yeah. Bass players in particular? Even when a bass player is talking to you, there are moments when they will just doing the skills. Now, I can't play bass to save my life, but I do know that when you have artistic people in your midst, even their language is different. Their dress sense is different. The way they speak, even how they eat sometimes, the way they walk, the way they talk, etc. If you've ever been around people who have been in the military, they have a particular posture, first of all, a particular way of thinking and processing information, very factual, less creative, more left brain rather than right brain. They have a certain bearing. And this comes out of the way that they have been trained. They have modeled each other. The thinking is the same. So when you see men in ranks, for example, or women in ranks, and they say tail up, left, face, right, face. When they go in military formation, left, head snaps. Right, bam, head snaps. Not because they are machines, but because they are modeling. It's a certain culture, a certain way of doing things. Now, whether it be the military, whether it be music, whether it be artistic or culinary or construction, whatever field that we're in or want to be in, I'm suggesting it's important to copy somebody. Of course, copying the right example. So somebody who is deluded enough to believe that they are successful but cannot prove it, have no results, I suggest that that may not be the best person to copy, given the circumstances. Because the resources that we have are inside of us. Everything we need is already inside of us. It's now time to bring it out, which leads us beautifully into the next point, which is resourcefulness. Is everybody okay so far? Going to be a Q&A afterwards, and we can have some feedback. Now, everything that we need is inside of us. Why do I say that? We cannot bring out anything that isn't already there. I have colleagues who often say they tell the truth when they are intoxicated with alcohol. Now, from a legal perspective, I cannot appreciate that. You said what you always felt, but you never had the nerve to say it. The clarity has not come via the intoxication. The intoxication has aided your courage to express that which within beside you. It was always there. You may know someone for 20, 30 years or 10 years, and they do something, and you wonder, where did that come from? I never knew you were like that. I'm suggesting it was always there, the writing was always on the wall, but we simply weren't able to see it, or the circumstances did not present themselves. Some of the greatest strengths we possess come out in times of trial. When things are not going according to plan, that's the time when we find that inner strength to be able to pull through and achieve something. I don't know whether that's ever happened to any of us. But if it hasn't, I'm sure it will as we go through life. And the vicissitudes of life face us, as someone in the audience said earlier on. All the resources, everything we need is inside of us and around us. We have access to it. It's just then about finding the way to effectively make this happen. To reach out and talk to somebody, or meet somebody, or connect with somebody, or meet somebody who knows somebody, who knows somebody, who knows somebody. The 6 degrees of separation, right? Just making that link. Because out of our inner circle, we're able to then make the connection with everybody around us. It's very much like a ripple effect in a river. If you can imagine with me, a river. I know that sometimes in the United Kingdom it's very hard to imagine what a river looks like. However, just imagine for a moment, a river or a stream, and throwing a stone into the stream and seeing the ripple effects. That, in many ways, is what our resourcefulness is about. Being able to start where we are and then moving outwards. Moving outwards. Everybody okay so far? Good, good. Some people dream of success while others wake up and work hard at it. I know many people who always remind me, yeah, this is what you need to do. This is how it's done. They've never done it before, except in their minds. But they know everything as far as they're concerned about how you should do what you do. When I was writing my book, a gentleman gave me free mentoring advice about how to write a book. What you need to do, how you need to be, how you need to sit, where you need to go, how you need to think. And after about a month of this free advice, unsolicited of course, unsolicited, Facebook friend, unsolicited, block him, come back again. That was a hint, but no, couldn't quite pick up, right? Unsolicited advice over a month on Facebook. And I then decided to say to him, well listen, give me the ISBN number for your book, or let me Google you. The man has never written a book in his life. Now, my point is this. Everyone has their story. There is truth sometimes in some very weird experiences. However, for what I needed at that time, you can't really talk to me on this one. Maybe on everything else. Maybe a workshop on how to procrastinate, how to avoid doing things. That's probably your forte. However, when it comes to actually doing the writing of a book, because you haven't done it yourself, the success is only in your mind, but you did not work towards it. And I'm sure that for many of us, we know persons like this, we've experienced this from time to time. And this is why, in many ways, quotes are so important. Because even though they may be a bit extra sometimes, and a tad abused, they do have their place